Alright, so S&S Super E carburetor accelerator pump rebuild. Here's your rebuild kit. It's pretty simple. How do we know it needs rebuilt? Well, you can tell because of the way that it is. When you crack the throttle, you should see fuel shooting up out of here. The throttle, you'll see the butterfly open. When you crack it, nothing, right? There should be a shot of fuel coming up, and there's not. So down here on the side of the carburetor, underneath this little guy here, there's a little diaphragm, spring, and a couple check balls. We're going to take the carburetor off the bike, we're going to disassemble it, and we are going to install the rebuild kit. So bear with me here. Let me get this all apart. I've already obviously pulled the air cleaner off. And this part of it here is all kind of self-explanatory, dude. If I have to show you how to take the carburetor off your bike, you shouldn't be trying to rebuild your carburetor, you feel me? Backing plate, a couple other bolts, carb comes off. The tricky part is when you actually take the carb apart, which we will show you here shortly. Let me get this apart and we'll go from there when it's on the bench, because that's the important part. So anyways, refer to your manual if you need to know how to take this apart, eh? Anyways, where were we? Let's stop for a minute. So you guys don't see every little thing I do on camera, right? So that screw was a bugger, and we had to get a little heavier screwdriver to get it out. So back at it, and keep your thumb over this at all times. The screw is going to be longer because it goes down through the actual float bowl and into the body of the carb. Okay. Remember the order they go in. Tiny one, long one. This shouldn't be as long. It should be a tiny one as well. All the while you're keeping pressure on this part with your thumb, because you don't want this to shoot across the freaking room. Trust me, you don't. You'll never find it. Check balls in place. Looks like one of them's missing. It came with two. There should be one on either side. Inside here, a little diaphragm. That's this piece. You see what's going on here when you hit that? See that? Yeah. It's not doing that. And there's this wee little tiny rod in here, which doesn't look bad. Is it the same length as the replacement? It is, so we're going to put the new one in. Because we have a new one. And that O-ring looks a little worse for wear. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out. Oh yeah, see how flattened out and goony that is? That's no bueno, man. That's why she wasn't working right. I'll go ahead and replace it with a new O-ring. And this, we're going to very gently take our little, am I in camera? I hope so. Very gently, we'll take our little pick and just kind of get him out. And here's your spring underneath. We're going to replace that with a new spring. Put it back together the same way it came apart, because as you can see, one side of this has a cup. You got a cup, one side with a cup, one side like that. Both sides look the same in this damn thing. What side does the spring fit in better? I believe it's going to go this way. Yeah, it is. And that just kind of sets in there like that. The mistake a lot of folks will make putting them back together is they'll get this kind of cocked to one side. You don't want to do that. Alright, I'm going to cut this for a minute. I have to walk away and just relax for a second because we're going to put teeny tiny parts back together. And I don't need my hands to shake. This is frustrating. So, alright, I'm back. I had to take a minute. This is a little bit tedious, this part here. Just a little bit tedious. Now, hopefully the camera's picking it up. Down inside here, there should be a little check ball. And I'm seeing that not only was the O-ring shot, that little check ball is missing. There's a check ball on this side. We got it out. It looks like it's in good shape. We're going to replace it anyway since we have one. And there's a teeny little baby spring. I'm going to put you to the side for now. And this O-ring right here is most definitely shot. So the diaphragm was good in this carburetor. It was still working. But the problem with it was, and you folks follow me live, that O-ring right there was totally shot. She's flattened out. Gasoline got to the O-ring. The diaphragm held up, but the O-ring did not. What we'll do, seat the new O-ring in place. Like that. Go. Little teeny tiny spring, and this is honestly why I had to step away. Look how tiny that is. Okay, and this is why we needed this new camera that works a little better. These are tiny little parts, folks. Get that dropped in there. This actually was missing a check ball, which tells me somebody was in here farting around and didn't quite know what they was doing. That's okay. I had to look this up myself. I've never torn into this particular style of carburetor. So before I did it, I'm human, man. I looked it up. Make sure I was doing it right. This can be a double, because you don't want this diaphragm to be any kind of goony. And I almost want to use the old one, but no, we're not doing that. Alright, we got that in place. Hopefully I'm still in camera, and honestly at this point I don't care, because I like making YouTube videos for y'all, but I like my motorcycle to run properly more. Big ass spider crawling on me, you gotta get out of here. You rotten devil. Yeah, see, that's not in the way it needs to be. This part is a little bit, kind of a lot bit frustrating. See, that's good. I want that like that. And there's a little ridge in here. You really need that to sit down inside that ridge, or it's just not going to work. And I do believe we've got it. the side, it should sit perfectly flat like that, which it is. Whew. Thank you, Lord. That's tedious. Short screw. Long screw. We're going to go ahead and just get this set on up and get a couple of them snugged, because if I take any pressure off of this, that little diaphragm, it's going to go the way of the dodo and fall right out. This is one of these times where I actually do practice trying to talk to you and narrate what I'm doing. And this is one of the times where I just gotta keep my mouth shut and do what I gotta do. Now you see on there how that's, and get it in camera. See how that's flat the whole way around? There's no gaps. These screws are just barely snugged. She's definitely seated in there good. I'm going ahead and replace the final screw, and we have a rebuilt accelerator pump. I'm not going to dig into the carburetor any further than that because I don't need to. The bike runs excellent 90% of the time, but when you whack the throttle hard, there's a little hesitation, and as you see in the beginning of the video, well, the accelerator pump just ain't pumping. And at the end of this video, when she's bolted back together and there's fuel in the carb, I will show you how she works. When you whack the carburetor, you should see a squirt of fuel. Fuel injections for suckers. Well, he needs a little bit of know-how. A little bit of know-how. You might even be able to see it now. There might be just enough fuel in here to do it once. Nope, there ain't. Alright. Whew, okay. That was pretty damn tedious, dude. These parts are tiny. The rest of the stuff in the carburetor is not really that small or hard to deal with. It's just not. So, we're going to bolt her all back together to the bike. Inspect this seal. The O-ring looks good. It does not need replaced. It's still going to do O-ring stuff. Gasket on this side is a little worse for wear, but that's for the air cleaner. We can honestly just put a little bit of silicone on that, and we're going ahead and reuse that gasket. And we're going to show you how to tune this thing in, but that's going to be a little bit later in the video. So we're going to cut that there. Essentially, when you first watch this video and you see me crack the throttle, no squirty squirty, and you see me tear that whole thing apart. There's only one of these in there. There needed to be two. So there's that. And as well as that right there, that's no bueno. That should be round. It should be plush and soft. It's not. It's hard as a brick and it's flat. And honestly, the dude owned this bike for 10 years. He never had to carb apart, never did anything like that because it always just ran for him. He just drained the fuel out of it every season. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's essentially, I'm a stickler for the bike being tuned right. I'm a carburetor guy, and I want my carburetor to do carburetor things, and it just wasn't. So, yeah, we're going to go around while we got it off and in our hand. I'm just going to give each screw on the float bowl a tickle. And just make sure they're tight. And then we'll go ahead and reinstall this carb. I'm not going to show you that in the video because I can't refrain from swearing my head off, and you know that's not good for the monetization of my channel. So yeah, there's that. So I will reinstall this on the motorcycle, and we'll show you how to tune it next. Try to keep this video a little bit shorter. Alright YouTube, we back at it. Accelerator pump's installed, carburetor's back on the bike. We've got some fuel in the float bowls. I want y'all to look right into this general vicinity right here. I'm going to go ahead and crack the throttle and you will see fuel squirt. See that? The accelerator pump is now doing accelerator pump things. So, fellas, I'm not a motorcycle wizard. Ladies, gentlemen, I'm not. I just figure things out and I fix them. and I've been working on motorcycles for a very long time, so kind of decent at it. As you see, this little devil right here, this check ball was missing. Somebody had the carburetor apart in that. That little check ball fell out. They didn't realize it. That's why the accelerator pump did not work. And these O-rings here, as you can see, they're hard as a brick, and they should be round. This one's not as bad, but this guy right here, he's flat. It should be round. He's flat. So that's why this thing had hesitation, and when I kept saying I'd like to see a little bit more out of my accelerator pump, well, that's why it wasn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. Plain and simple. So that's fixed up. So now essentially we put the breathers back on and bolt everything back together, and we'll take this thing for a little ride. And yeah, I'll show you how to tune in the carburetor. Might be in this video, might be in the next video. It all depends on just how long this footage is, because I notice y'all start tuning out right around 25 minutes, half hour. So I honestly feel like maybe just cleaning up shop for tonight and finishing. So I think that's probably what we're going to do. We'll see y'all in just a little while.